I'm 100% stealing all of this from Luke Alexander. He hasn't done this exactly yet. He has, however, done a video where he basically runs through the entirety of Euphoria and gives his thoughts and opinions about the things that happened in it. And he's done a couple tier list videos, but he hasn't done a Euphoria one, so I'm gonna steal that idea before he does it. So in the top tier we have Puff Puff Pass. The second best is Jules' backpack because it is iconic. The middle tier, Fine Wine, is inspired by Lexi and Cassie's mum's wine. In the fourth tier we have Drug Dealer. And in the fifth tier we have Crackhead. The first character we have is Kat. Kat is iconic. There was this one moment where Maddie calls her and she's very obviously distressed and Kat kind of just blows her off, which isn't the best of her, but I also don't completely hate her for that. When Maddie confronts her about it later on, Kat stands up for herself and basically brings up the fact that her problems are often very shallow and most of the time they revolve around Nate, who everyone else around her just kind of wants her to break up with because it's such a toxic and abusive and disgusting relationship, and it's kind of stupid that they're still together. I don't like the way she reacted when she saw Ethan with that blonde girl, and just I understand why she would just like assume that he was flirting with her, but the way that she reacted wasn't the best. Like, yes, I would also assume that he was flirting with her in that instance, but I wouldn't then confirm it like with myself that he was 100% flirting with her and then just treat him like shit for the next few days or weeks or however long it was. I like her character development from being so desperate to wanting to lose her virginity so that she literally just loses it to the first person who wants to have sex with her and then becoming this boss bitch who makes her money. So for that, I'm going to put her in Puff Puff Pass. The next character is Jules. I love Jules. I think her fashion is amazing. I think she handles herself really well, especially when we first meet her at Nate's party, even though it was like low-key kind of stupid, but a smart idea, and she's a boss bitch. I like how she refused to accept Rue as a drug addict and lets her know that she's not going to deal with her bullshit. I think the whole situation with Tyler or Nate was so stupid. That was so unbelievably idiotic. She had never seen this guy's face, never met anyone that knew that person. For all she knew was that his name was Tyler, which turned out to be a lie, and that he took care of his body well. Literally the only truth that she had on this guy was that he looked good. So that was fucking stupid of her. And then she sent this bitch nudes. She fully spent a night with Rue taking nudes for this bitch that she doesn't know and put her face in them. And then she also said that she was in love with Anna even though she had known her for like less than a week at that point. I do think that all the like dumb shit that she does in the show kind of boiled down to her being like overly loving and overly compassionate, but either way they're really stupid mistakes to make. So as much as I want to put her in Puff Puff Pass, I'm going to put her in Jules' backpack. The next character is Gia, who is Rue's sister. I think she's really sweet and I love the relationship between pretty much all the members of that family. However, I do think that she needs to stick up for herself more, and I say that only because when Rue and her mother are fighting, she kind of just stands there and cries. I understand that like there might not be much that she's able to do, like she still can say something, and that's like the only thing that I can really take from her character because she doesn't have much screen time. Well, she has like a decent amount of screen time, but you don't really take much from her character. She's kind of boring in a way, and she hangs out with those two twins who I absolutely hate. And in conclusion, I just feel like her character like isn't really developed. Like there's not much happening with her. She's kind of boring, and for that I'm going to put her in Fine Wine. The next character is Cassie and Lexi's mother. She does have funny moments and her entire character is kind of based on like being, I guess, kind of funny. So I don't really know if I'm supposed to judge her on like the reason for her character being there is, or judge her based on her impact on other characters, because obviously her addiction and by extension her behavior due to her addiction does affect her children, but she is still, I believe, a relatively decent mother. I just find her a little irritating at times, and for these reasons I'm going to put her in Fine Wine. The next guy is Tyler, who is the guy that Nate put in the hospital and the guy who was seen with Madison in the pool at Nate's party. Again, he's not like a major character. He doesn't get much screen time. I can't really say much about him. There are no like major redeeming qualities about him. Like there's nothing amazing about him that I really love. The only thing that's going for him is like sympathy votes because obviously everyone feels bad for him. So I'm gonna put him in Fine Wine. I don't know this girl's name. I just know that she vapes a lot and she's low-key kind of part of the friend group that Kat and Cassie and Maddie are in, but not really. She kind of comes and goes. I find her annoying. I don't really like her. I don't know if there's any like good qualities about her because again she's not like one of the main characters. There aren't any redeeming qualities of her that I know about. So far the only qualities that I've picked up about her is that she's kind of irritating at times, and that's not good. For this reason I'm going to put her in Drug Dealer. Next character is Mckay. He's alright. I really don't like like him because he likes to pride himself on being like really respectful towards women and being really loving, but in actuality he's just like not. He's not the worst, he's not on Nate's level, and I don't completely hate him. I just find him again really irritating, but at the end of the day he could be a lot worse. He's boring. His only personality trait is being a Chad and playing football. The way he treats Cassie isn't the best. Cassie isn't perfect in the relationship either. I just feel like the relationship isn't the best. I just feel like in that one episode where he complains about the clothes that she's wearing, like who are you to tell her what she can and can't wear, especially on Halloween? Like it's a costume, and for you to assume that her costume is going to bring you negative attention is just completely whack. It's not about you at all, it's about her, and she looks amazing. He's just very self-centered. He was also mentioned to really like being in a relationship with Cassie because of the amount of people that were jealous of him. So yeah, he's just really self-centered and I don't really like him, and for these reasons I'm going to put him in drug dealer. The next character I also don't know the name of, but it's the guy who works at the mall and the guy that Kat sucked off in his car. He seems alright, again not a main character, I don't know much about him, kind of boring. I don't know how old he is. He does have a car, but that could also mean that he's just 16, so I don't really know. He seems alright, like a decent person to talk to. He seems like he knows how to hold a conversation somewhat. Does he? I don't really remember that scene when they're like talking and the cat's like, you don't have to make conversation, you can just like fuck me. So I'm going to put him in fine wine. Next person is Nate. We all know that everyone hates him, nobody likes him. He needs to sort out his anger issues. He shouldn't be allowed to date anyone, in my honest opinion. He seemed smart when his entire plan was being carried out at the start. Like he had 3 people under his control. He had Maddie because she was in love with him. He had Tyler because everyone thought that he had had sex with Maddie when he's 22, and he had Jules because he had her pornography. But then he fully left his dad's sex tape with Jules in a fucking book. A book on its side so that you could see that there's something in the book. Like if it's obvious enough for Maddie to see that DVD just laying about in his room, then why hasn't he figured out that that DVD is missing? He's clearly reckless and careless. He also like catcalled Jules when she first arrived. He's just a mess. I don't like him. Somebody needs to bring him down because he's getting on my nerves, and I'm putting him in crackhead. The next character is, bro, what's his name? Fezco. His name's Fezco. I'm gonna just call him the drug dealer because that's what I know him as, and that's who he is to me. I love him. He's great. Luke Alexander mentioned in his video that he wasn't the biggest fan of him. Like, he did like him, but he didn't like how he is a drug dealer and that he supplied Rue with the drugs in the first place, when she had the whole monologue where she was like, if you cared about me, you wouldn't have sold me the drugs in the first place, which I just don't agree with. At the end of the day, it was Rue's decision and everyone else's decision to buy the drugs of him. He's really just there to supply what there's demand for, and obviously Rue could just always get it from somebody else. You can argue, and Luke did argue in his video, that he's like making it easier for her, but like honestly, you could say that like regardless of who she goes to. If he didn't sell drugs to her, then the next person would have, and you could just say they're making it easier for her. There's always going to be somebody else, and he's just trying to get his bag because he doesn't have many qualifications, and he does seem really nice and really sweet, and I do like him, and he's just like a really chill person, so I'm gonna put him in Puff Puff Pass. There's not a lot of them here, but the next characters are the Mckay twins. Again, I don't like them. They're annoying. They participated in peer pressuring Kat into stripping for this other guy. They were annoying to Rue about a drug addiction. Like, they're probably gonna end up druggies as well. What are they bragging about? And then he has the absolute nerve to go after Rue's sister. And weren't they the ones who released the sex tape of Kat? Like, there's just a lot going on. I don't like them. I'm gonna put them in crackhead. Next person, again, another one that I don't know the name of, but it's the guy that tried to hook up with Cassie when she was dating Mckay and then ended up hooking up with Kat at the party instead. I don't like him. He's a horny bastard. He's annoying. He spent so fucking long simping for Cassie, and then as soon as she says that she can't hook up with him, he throws a fit and says that any guy who is interested in Cassie beyond just fucking her is a fucking liar. Just because you are an asshole doesn't mean that you speak for the entirety of the male species and you are going in crackhead. I don't know what he's so cocky for. He's got nothing going for him. That scene where he was trying to hit on Cassie and then Kat turns to him and goes, Ted Bundy was taller. That was iconic. I loved that. The next character is Lexi, Cassie's sister. We don't know much about Lexi. I really do like her. She's like the quirky, clean girl next door. I really like her. She's quite nice. I love how she's got nothing to do with boys, like at all. I'm suspecting that's something that's going to change in season 2, but like I'm going to be supporting her throughout that as well. I just think she's really nice and she's really cute and I love her, and I'm going to put her in Puff Puff Pass. The next character is Rue. Now, she's a sweet person. I think she's just, obviously Obviously at the party, I understand where she was coming from. I do still think she's being a little bit overprotective of her sister. I don't think it was the best idea for her to act that angry at her when she was caught smoking weed at the party. But I do understand where she was coming from. I do understand why she would be concerned, and I do understand why she would think that that would lead to more problems. Yeah, she can be a bit irritating at times. She's not my favorite. She's kind of worrying, so I'm going to put her in fine wine. Next character is Cassie. I really like Cassie. I think it's kind of stupid of her to continuously agree to do all these sex tapes, but I kind of understand why, like how she needs love and attention and validation from all these different guys because of her dad and all that stuff. I just think she hasn't developed as a character, and it's just, she's kind of just stayed dumb throughout the entirety of season 1. For the sake of this tier list, I'm going to put her in fine wine. Now, the little boy drug dealer, I think he's really cute. I like him. Don't know much about him. He just seems like a more like bad bitch version of Fez. Fez, that's why his name sounded weird. Everyone calls him Fez, right? I liked it when he kind of like confronted Rue at the start of the season about her like having a tab, and which she's obviously never going to pay. So I'm gonna put him in Puff Puff Pass. Ethan, I love Ethan. He's so sweet. He's the one guy that actually treats Kat like the queen that she is, but he was still so sweet towards her, and everything is amazing, and the vibes coming from him are immaculate. So I'm going to put him in Puff Puff Pass. The next character is Ali, the man that Rue talks to, and the guy that joins in the rehab meetings. I'm assuming he's like the main manager or whatever. I don't really know how these things work, but he seems alright. He seems like a pretty smart guy. He recognized that Rue was swapping drugs with Jules and it wasn't like a healthy reliance. He seems a little bit preachy, but I genuinely think he's a decent person, and for that reason I'm going to put him in Jules's backpack. The next character is Rue's mom. I think she's alright. I understand that parenting is a lot harder when you're involving drug abuse with your daughter and stuff like that, but I don't like how aggressive she is with her, and I don't like how she drug tests her, even though she was a drug addict and still was a drug addict when she was testing her. I don't like the way that she handled it. I think drug testing your children is such a gross thing to do. It lets them know that you're never going to trust them, and it lets them know that they have no reason to trust you either. All it does is teaches them ways to get around things that you're going to do to them. For example, Rue got around drug testing by getting her friends pee. I also didn't like in that one scene, it's a very minute little thing, but when Rue was counting those like window things as a kid, and then she was being all annoying about it, like, Rue, what are you counting? Rue, look at me, and refusing to like just let her do her thing, and then she started crying. That was so irritating. Like, just let her count. If you think she has like OCD or ADHD, get her tested. Don't like interrupt her. At that point, she had no reason to believe she had OCD or ADHD, because like, just why, like, kids are curious. Just let them count how many windows there are. Don't get physical with your child. Don't harass them as soon as they get into the door. Do not block their way out of a room. Do not drug test them. Those are such disgusting things to do. But I do understand that it is really hard on her, and she is trying her best, and she does love her children. It's just when you're aware of how toxic these things are, it's hard to just overlook them. As much as I want to put her in fine wine because she's obviously like sweet, she is really toxic and low-key abusive as a mother, so I'm going to put her in drug dealer. The final character we are going to be rating is Madison. Now, for the purpose that her character serves and like the way that she is supposed to be as a character, I really like her. I enjoy her being like, you know, the egotistical girl that can't let go of this shitty boyfriend. I love her confidence. I don't love her ego. Again, for the sake of this tier list, I'm going to judge on her as a person rather than a character. She stays with a toxic, abusive boyfriend. She aids him in his master plan. She is so petty. Like, when they break up, she just tries to fuck another guy or make it seem like she's fucked another guy at his party. She gets angry at Kat for, like, I understand why you get angry for that one phone call, but like, it was one instance. You do not need to bring up her entire character development just because you don't like how she's not putting up with your bullshit anymore. That scene at the carnival where she does Molly and then she like confronts Nate and his family and tips over the chili was iconic, but like, for the sake of like actually being the family and like being there, it was a bit excessive. But again, she was on Molly and it was iconic, so I love that. At the end of the day, I just think she's a bit dumb, honestly. I don't know why you would stay with Nate. He obviously doesn't love you, or at least like doesn't love you the right way. So I'm going to put her in drug dealer. So the tier list is completed. In the top tier, Puff Puff Pass, we have Kat, Fez, Lexi, the little kid drug dealer, I don't know his name, and Ethan. In the second tier, Jules' backpack, we have have Jules and Ali. In Fine Wine, we have Gia, Cassie's mum, Tyler, the guy at the mall, Rue, and Cassie. In Drug Dealer, we have that girl who vapes a lot, I don't know her name, Mckay, Rue's mother, and Maddie. In Crackhead, we have Nate, the Mckay twins, and the guy at the party who dressed as Ted Bundy. Obviously, I'm rating them as people rather than as characters. If I was rating them as characters, I'd probably put Nate, Maddie, and Jules in the top tier as well. So yeah, that's what I have for you guys today. If you like this video or if you liked me, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you didn't like me, make sure to get in contact with my teachers because I bet you'll have a lot in common. And make sure to stay safe and stay hydrated.